And good afternoon and welcome to today's Mimeo webinar series. My name is Travis Rink and I'm from Mimeo, and I would like to welcome you to our webinar today. Eliza Sterling from Mimeo is also here and will be facilitating our question and answer session that we'll have later in this webinar. So again, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and before we get started, I'd like to do a quick sound check to make sure that you can hear me okay. So if you can hear me okay, would you please hit a smiley face right there in the chat window there at your bottom left, or press one of the emoticons, and I'll make sure we're broadcasting loud and clear worldwide here. So it looks like I'm getting some good feedback, so I appreciate that input. So all right, thank you. So we're good to go. Again, you may have seen a message pop up on your screen, whether you're on a mobile device or a computer. You will not need to dial in. Everything we are broadcasting is right through our internet. So thank you once again. So today's webinar is going to demonstrate ways that the Mimeo software and the hardware can be used to integrate technology. So no matter what you have in your classroom, you'll be able to integrate that technology in your classroom and provide a very interactive and engaging learning environment. So with that said, we're very pleased to present a great champion of technology in the classroom, as well as Mimeo, in our seamless integration of curriculum and technology, featuring a high school math teacher, Sarah Coughlin. So let me give you a brief introduction to Sarah before I turn the reins over to her. So Sarah began her career in education as a high school math teacher back in 2003 in Fairfax, Virginia. Sarah's taught a range of math classes, including Algebra 1, Geometry Honors, Algebra 2, Math Analysis, you name it, all those hardcore classes, she does it. She holds a bachelor's degree in mathematics and a master's degree in education, and both of those are from her prized university, George Mason. Now, in addition to her classroom talents, she is also a very talented soccer player and golfer, I'm going to add, and has competed on the George Mason University's Division I women's soccer team. So she has a lot of things going for her. So Sarah is, again, currently teaching high school math in Hingham, Massachusetts. And she has been a presenter at numerous education conferences, which also include things like FETC, NCTM, TCEA, and NECC, if those acronyms mean anything to you. All those are math-related or technology-related. In addition to all of those, she has also written a series of elementary math workbooks. So check those out. So before I turn it over to her, I'd like to cover some quick housekeeping details like we always do in our webinars. Each of you should have a sidebar over there to the left of the presentation window. And that is where you can ask any questions you have of Sarah, myself, or anything that you hear today, and we'll address those either during the webinar itself or more than likely during the Q&A session. So no matter what, if your question is thrown out there, we will address it. If not live during the session, we will do it in our follow-up email that will contain all those questions and answers in a PDF that we'll send everybody at the end. So shortly after the webinar, we'll also be sending out an email. This is going to actually be happening early next week. We'll send out a follow-up email to all people that were registered. That's going to contain a link to this session. We are recording it. It will also, like I said, include all the Q&A that's come up and everything else, as well as a link to enable you to earn professional development credit that we'll share with you towards the end of this webinar. So sit back, relax, ask those questions, get challenging questions out to Sarah. She's had a rough day at school, I'm sure, so she could definitely use the extra push to go through that. So anyhow, it's my pleasure to welcome Sarah Coughlin. Sarah, take the ball.
Thank you so much, Travis. And if everyone could give me a big smile, if you can hear me okay. Looking for a smile in the chat box. We've got one. There we go, Mr. K. Thank you. So I do want to give a big thanks to the folks at Mimeo. They have done a tremendous job at providing resources to teachers throughout the world, and I am excited to share with you today. Now, I am experiencing a connection loss in the true life of technology. So while I am reconnecting,
so you might be losing out. And then it'll all come back up here, Sarah. So good old technology, right?
We have a good storm coming through, so I'm sure that is what is going on. But we'll come right back. Here we are. So while I'm reconnecting, my plan for today is to go through and give you really what true life in a Mimeo classroom looks like. I'm honored to have had Mimeo in my classroom for well over about 7 years. And I am reconnecting. I'm going to show you a quick picture of the products that I have the ability to use in my classroom. When I taught in Virginia starting in 2003 and left for a little bit, and I had the honor of working for Mimeo. And when I came back to the classroom, I was given a very nice departure gift of all of the Mimeo products. So I am very lucky to be able to experiment and keep on board with all of the new features that Mimeo offers. So I am just about back in here. I apologize for the delay. But like I said, we're going to start off. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the software. Really, that's the brains behind all of the Mimeo products. All of the products work through what's called Mimeo Studio. And I can tell you, as a longtime Mimeo user, the software continues to add features, but it also continues to stay simple. So as a teacher, that's one of my main priorities because we all know how much we have on our plates. So here we are. I am almost back, guys. And here we are. So if I could ask someone to give me a big smile if you can see my screen okay. Yay, we are back. So here's what our agenda looks like. I'm going to first give you that Mimeo classroom overview. I'll give you a sneak peek what my classroom looks like. Then I will talk a little bit about Mimeo Studio and Mimeo Mobile, getting started with Mimeo Connect, and then the big event. I'm going to give you a preview to a variety of few different lessons that are used in Mimeo classrooms. Of course, please keep as many questions as you have. Keep them coming in the chat box, and we'll get to our Q&A. So on your screen, you'll be able to see a picture of the beautiful Mimeo classroom. So like I said, I was given a tremendous gift when I came back to the classroom. And my classroom today, I have a great setup. I have a regular whiteboard with a projector that's ceiling mounted. And I have one of these Mimeo Teaches on that whiteboard. So what that does is enable my regular whiteboard to become an interactive whiteboard. I have a Mimeo Pad, which is a tablet I'm able to pass around the classroom. Students are able to interact with my lesson. I'm able to interact. I'm going to skip over Mimeo Studio because it is the star of the show. I have a Mimeo mobile license, which enables me as the teacher to give up control to my students, either on their tablets or their smartphones. There's so many different ways that you can utilize mobile, and we're going to talk about that today. Mimeo Vote, this beautiful student response system. I have multiple choice questions, true, false questions, and all of that data stored in my what's called Mimeo Gradebook. Mimeo View is a document camera, real simple to use, on-off button. So this top camera, the middle arm, whatever's underneath that is projected on my computer. Almost done. I also have Mimeo Capture. I do feel very lucky to have this in my classroom. This enables me, without the use of a projector, to capture digital work. So that's written with dry erase markers. That's all captured, and you're able to save and print that work. And last but not least, I'm going to make this the star of the show. See if I can draw a star. Mimeo Studio. This is the brains that we that are behind all of these products. So I'm actually presenting in what's called Mimeo Studio Notebook. When they titled this webinar Seamless Integration, I couldn't come up with two better words. Everything works with this software. So you can start with one product. You can have all of the products. You have to learn how to use one software. And really, the engineers have done an amazing job over the years at keeping it very simple, but the power continues to grow. So speaking of Mimeo Studio software, you can download the latest version from Mimeo.com and install it on your computer. Everyone on this webinar can evaluate the full version for 30 days. And then as a teacher, so simple to activate, I just plug any Mimeo product into my computer and it's fully activated. The Mimeo mobile app, so you still are going to create your same lessons through Mimeo Notebook, which we're using now. But you would also download Mimeo Mobile. And you can see at the bottom here, it's available on the App Store, Google Play. It's no cost. So I experimented with my students. They all have smartphones. They came in. They got the app from the App Store, no cost. And I had a Mimeo Mobile license. So the setup is one of the most amazing things. I'm going to give you a quick peek at what that looks like. So here are my students. Aren't they good-looking students? And they have their devices. And here's my computer. We are all connected on the same Wi-Fi. What I do at the beginning of class or before class even starts is I project this QR code. And literally all they need to do in their Mimeo mobile app is put that QR reader up to that QR code and they're connected. It's so simple. It does not take any time in class. And after the first day, they know what to do. They just come in, boom, on their way in. And we're off to the races. So the technology is not a hurdle. It's integrated right into what I already have planned, but the capabilities are amazing. So we will get into some lessons that integrate Mimeo Mobile. So if I talk about mobile or collaborate, we'll talk about this application. So absolutely, teachers and students can control and interact with lessons from their mobile devices. I'm an algebra teacher, teach algebra this year, so I do a lot of graphing, and it's great to have a student come up to the board and maybe graph a line, but it's even better if every student is engaging with their mobile devices. I also do a lot of small group work, so students can share an iPad or whatever type of tablet or smartphone, and up to 9 groups are possible. So you can see pictures of groups of 4 working on the same interactive activity. Better yet, you can switch modes in a second and use that same app to powerfully capture assessment data. So you can see the picture of the iPad right next to the Mimeo Vote, same concept. You know, some schools have a mixture of devices. I know ours does. We're getting together whatever we have. Mimeo Mobile allows you to do so. So 3 different versions of this same app that you're using in your classroom, 3 different ways that you can be using it. Well, last but not least, before I get into these wonderful activities, Mimeo Connect, which is one of my favorite sites. This is powerful for brand new teachers. This is powerful for experienced teachers. If you go to mimeoconnect.com, this is an absolutely free community, and you can see the titles up here. You can share from thousands and thousands of lessons from other Mimeo teachers. You can connect with members, so I have a few other algebra teachers that I've connected with. You can ask questions on forums, start groups with people, access training. The Ask a Master session, there's expert teachers there waiting for questions, access events, and also get to the website. So this is the power behind the community aspect. If I'm a beginner Mimeo teacher, I can go to the site, do a few minutes of searching, and find lessons that are ready to go in my classroom, all for free. If I'm an experienced Mimeo teacher, I've been doing this for 7, 8 years, I still find resources on that site that keep me growing and keep me advancing. So definitely, if you have not already checked it out, go to mimeoconnect.com and you can create a free membership. You can navigate through the resources, the questions, the forums. It is a great resource. So for the main event, I've structured this so you get a little bit of an idea of what a Mimeo classroom might look at a high school level, middle school level, elementary school level. All of the same resources that work together. So I'm going to start out at the high school level. This is actually something I am currently teaching in my Algebra 1 class, graphing systems of linear equations. So you can see this page, very clean, and it was built within Mimeo Notebook. I might be introducing this concept. And then I might jump right into an activity where students get their hands on the material. Instead of standing at the front of the class and chatting through the material, I can present a concept, and immediately with one press of a button, I can split the control into small groups. So give me a smile if you can see a snapshot of the 4 screens. This was just a snapshot of what my classroom might look like. So you can see there's 4 groups, and I can set up to 9 groups working at the same time, completing the same problem, and this was all ignited by pressing one button. Okay, when I'm ready, I can take back control, and all of that data is actually captured within my software. So if I wanted to, after class, say, you know, they really weren't grasping this concept, I could actually even peek at their work. It's all captured. Extremely powerful, beyond just pen and paper. Next, I'll give you a snapshot of what an assessment question might look like. So you see we're in the same software. The setup is very, very simple as on the teacher's end. Okay, but when I press go, either my student response on the Mimio Vote handhelds, or a mixture. Maybe they have iPads or they have smartphones. You can see a picture of what this might look like in the real-life classroom. I can use a mixture of devices. It's whatever I have connected, and their screens will turn into a true-false template because that was the type of question that I asked. So it takes away any confusion, which button should I press, very clear what the student is trying to respond to. Just like the activity that I just did, all of these responses are captured in my Mimio gradebook. I can run reports. I use it all the time. The students love using their handhelds, but it's also very valuable data. I can either use it as a pre-test, post-test, in the middle of a lesson just to see if they're capturing a skill. It goes well beyond just trying on paper, pencil and paper, trying to assess whether they're understanding the concept. So this type of assessment, just keep in mind, was a true-false. We're going to look at some other templates that we have available. Okay, so same concept. Here's another assessment question. And the question, just very simply, was turned into a 4-choice multiple choice, A through D. Same concept. As soon as I press go, students will have A through D lit up on either their handhelds or their tablets or their cell phones, and all of that data is captured. If I choose, I can also get on-the-fly results. So this is an example of what this chart might look like. I use a ton in the middle of a new section of notes. So if I'm taking 10 minutes of notes and I present a concept, maybe we practice it a few times, then I'll throw a multiple choice question up there. So students don't need to know if they, who got what right or wrong, but I can see as a class, all right, you know, some students got this right, but I really think I need to slow down and maybe practice the concept a little bit more. So all of these tools are built within the Mimio Studio software. They're all templates, very easy to edit, very easy to learn. Mimio's done a great job at keeping it simple, but still increasing the number of possibilities. So if we change gears a little bit, excuse me, I might teach the next concept of graphing linear inequalities. And I actually build this at the high school level to systems of inequalities. I wanted to show this especially because this multimedia piece is found in the Mimio Studio Gallery. For free, with the software, you have this interactive inequality grapher. And how this works, I might be graphing y equals 2x plus 3, but I might want to make that greater than 3. So you can see the graph automatically sticks with the inequality. And I might discuss with my students what would change if I made this to greater than or equal. And they would see the boundary line into a solid line. Very simple multimedia piece to use, but extremely effective for speed of pace when you're testing hypotheses or excuse me, or you might have a student come up and graph on top of this, and check if they're right. So this is a great interactive. There are a ton of multimedia pieces like this that you can build right into your lessons. Not another software to use. This is just right in the Mimeo Studio software. So I might continue and go through the basics of graphing systems of linear inequalities. And then a simple activity like this. Additionally, 10 years ago, I might have had this even written on the board or maybe even projected on the board. And the best I can do is have myself completing the problem at the board, or maybe one student come to the board and complete the problem. Now I can use the Mimeo mobile app. I can have small groups or every student complete it. It is extremely effective to get more students interacting with the material. I should also mention I use the pad a lot in my classroom. So even if I want to switch gears and not wait for a student to come up to the board, or maybe they're a little hesitant to stand in front of the class, I can walk over, hand the Mimeo pad to them. They have full control of this lesson and all of the tools that they would at the board. So you are so flexible. You can have one product, you can have all the products. It is the same software to learn, and extremely powerful. I'm going to jump a little bit and show you a little bit more of an elementary lesson that you might see. Okay, so here's our lesson. I always like to read through the objective boxes here. These are great when you're sharing lessons with other teachers, or even for yourself. Next year you say, what was I hoping to get out of this? So students will answer the question using Mimeo Vote or Mimeo mobile enabled devices. You can see this question's a little bit different than before because there's no text. You have what's called universal question objects. So instead, the choices are pictures, and that's perfectly fine. Same concept. Students will respond A through D on their device. And same concept, when I'm ready, I can reveal the results. And before we had a bar graph, you have other choices for templates for the results. So very flexible, but really only one thing to learn. That being said, this is fairly new in my life with Mimeo. Now we have an open response assessment option. So here's the question. If you buy the soccer ball, which costs 72 cents, and you give the cashier $1, how much change will you get back? You see there's no multiple choice questions, or solutions, sorry. I can actually ask students to type in their solution on their tablets. Many testing situations are turning online, and this is a great opportunity for students to get that exposure to the electronic version of assessment, but it's also a mixed version. Previously, you could only ask questions in multiple choice, but now you have that open response opportunity. I hope you're seeing the flexibility. I'm going to show you one more example of what a Mimeo classroom might look like. This is, if we have any geometry teachers on the line, I think you will be in love with this activity. So let's go ahead and read the objective. So this is for the teacher during the lesson planning. You wouldn't be reading this in class. So students measure the degree of the angle by dragging the arms of the protractor to the lines of the angle. Check for accuracy of the angle degree by opening the gray reveal box. And then students are going to decide whether the angle is acute, right, or obtuse, and click on the corresponding title. So there's a lot going on here. And sometimes we can only imagine this happening at the front of the classroom. This could also just be happening using the Mimeo mobile app. So not one student interacting, but all students in the classroom interacting. These activities actually are located on Mimeo Connect. So I didn't spend time, I've used this in class, but I did not spend time creating this. This was, I believe, Collaborate. I can show you that at the end lesson that was shared. It's well designed, it's very interactive, and students have hands-on opportunities. So you can see this animation. Students would click and drag and try to line this up. either using a tablet, at the board, using their phone, and they're going to say, okay, I was close, I might be a little bit off, but where would this fall under? Acute, right? Obtuse? Anybody know that in the chat box? We would talk about, oh, that was acute. And even students, if they got the wrong answer, they have the opportunity to correct themselves. So it could be a good opportunity to talk about what is a right angle, obtuse, acute. This is a fabulous opportunity, lots of opportunities for students to respond. Same topic, here's an assessment question that deals with that very same concept. So if we pull this and we say what type of angle is shown, well, it's about 72, 73 degrees. I would give my students an opportunity to write in their response. So they don't have that cue anymore. Now, do they truly remember that vocab word? And you can see how all of these lessons were built in that brains of Mimeo Studio. I can say over the years I have been amazed at Mimeo's ability to increase your opportunities and your functionality, but really to keep it simple. I'm in love with Mimeo, I always will, and it's really changed my outlook on what's possible in the classroom. So without further ado, I am going to turn the mic over for our question and answer.
Thanks, Sarah. So we have some good questions that came in. If everyone can just go ahead and put a smiley face if you can hear me. Thank you, guys. So this one's for you, Sarah. If a student uses their phone, how do you know which student answered which question?
Eliza, that's a great question. So within the Mimeo Studio software, there's what's called the Mimeo Gradebook. And at the beginning of the year, I assign every student a number. And so then there's a roster. So when students check in at the beginning of class with their cell phone or their tablet, they're going to choose their name from the screen. And as I'm walking around class, I can double and triple check that the device that they're holding has their name and nobody else's. So real simple, it took me about 5 minutes at the beginning of the school year. And then students either memorize their handheld number if they're using Mimeo Vote, or if they're using a cell phone or a tablet, they can see their name, so they just click on it. Great question.
So kind of going along with that, Sarah, a question came in, if a student has a handheld one day and then does not the next, will the data link up in your gradebook?
Absolutely. That's the engineering behind the Mimeo mobile app. So if they choose their number or their name, this is all going into the same gradebook. I should say at the beginning of class, I distinguish what class we're in. So if I have D period Algebra 2, I'll just go ahead in the software and say I'm in D period Algebra 2. So they have the list of their names and or numbers, and they can go from there. So all of their data is stored next to their student input, absolutely. It doesn't matter which device they're using.
Great. And that includes both Mimeo Vote and Mimeo Mobile.
Absolutely. And I use a mixture. We're just getting started experimenting with cell phones, so some students see other students are experimenting, and then they bring theirs in, and oh, can I use it? So it is seamless, absolutely seamless.
Great. And I guess with the presentation that you had today, or a lesson that you created, I know you said with this one you were able to get all this information from the gallery or from Mimeo Connect, but how much time do you think it would take you to, from scratch, do a lesson similar to the one that you presented today?
It's a great question. So over the years, I've become very skilled at sharing with other talented Mimeo teachers. So that's some of the power behind it. But if I had to start from scratch, I've really learned how to format fairly well within Mimeo Notebook. I would say it would take about an hour, and what I would mean by a lesson, a full-blown lesson, would be a few slides with interactive activities, a few slides with response questions, maybe some informational text and picture pages. I would say about an hour, but more than just one activity. I try to plan, multiple, full from start to finish. Now, the power behind that, to be honest, the first year it's going to take a little bit longer, but then everything's electronic for you. So the following year, you have everything ready to rumble. If you want to make small tweaks, you can to keep improving, but the power behind having all your resources electronic is truthfully amazing the second year and the third year and the fourth year.
Great, thanks. A question for Travis are the lessons found on Mimeo Connect aligned with particular standards like Common Core?
Okay, hey, and that's a good question. Yeah, and I think what you'll find is, Sarah, I don't know if you wouldn't mind maybe going to Mimeo Connect, we can show everybody. You're going to find when you do a search, of course, there's a variety of ways you can search for lessons, and these are all contributed by community members on Mimeo Connect. They're all freely available. You can do a number of different search mechanisms for subject level, grade level, keywords, but you can also search by standards, state standards, but also Common Core. So a lot of the lessons, I wouldn't say probably all of them, but there's quite a few. A majority of those, I would say, are organized by Common Core and state standards. So yes, we can say that. So, and Sarah, I don't know if we have a few. Well, okay, go ahead. We can come back to that if we need to.
Another question that came in from Tiffany was kind of going back to collaborate as well as vote questions. She said, I had a similar question to Linda's. Can students use laptop netbooks instead? Travis, do you mind addressing that?
Not at all. So the way this works is that on a teacher computer, you are running the Mimeo Studio software. All right. So the only way that you can get other students connected would be using mobile devices. That would include a number of Android platform, mobile smartphones, as well as tablets, as well as the Apple smartphone, Apple iPhone, but also iPad and things like that. So students would not be able to use their student laptops to connect. So you download the free software from the appropriate store. It's free. And all that software, that app can be installed on every student device here in the classroom. Of course, the teacher, in order to be able to utilize all that, the teacher would then purchase that annual license. And that activates those features within the teacher computer. And then by doing that, that allows all of those devices within your classroom to be able to connect using the Wi-Fi signal that Sarah mentioned, to connect to the Wi-Fi signal, to connect to the teacher computer. And then you have the tremendous possibility of being able to do various types of assessments that she showed you, which include, of course, the multiple choice, true, false, but also using the mobile devices, you also open up the door to those Common Core practice type of questions, the open response questions, the essay type questions, the multiple answer questions. You can also do the ability to collaborate. You saw some of that in Sarah's presentation, to where you can collaborate with up to 9 different student devices or student groups. They can all be simultaneously working on parts of your lesson that you deploy to their devices. But you can also give them, in a third way that Sarah shared, you can also deploy your lesson in a one-to-one type of relationship to a student's mobile device, and they can have total control over that. And then you have that flexibility of taking control back and giving it to other students. So you do have a range of options to really, I guess the title of this session is called Seamlessly Integrate into what you already have.
Great. Thank you, Travis.
You are welcome.
So another question that came in was, what if a student doesn't have a device? And Sarah, do you mind addressing that?
I can absolutely answer that, because we are in the early stages of experimenting, and we don't have full classroom availability to any devices. So what I've done with my students is said, if you have a device, bring it in. So how I've gotten around it, I do a lot of collaborate activities. So that means 2 or 3 students on each device. I have mini whiteboards with dry erase markers. So any students that are without a device, they can keep up. They can just show me visually instead of me going into the software or checking on the board. I have a lot of low-tech ways around it. I have colored paper for our assessment questions, which keeps the classroom going, keeps everyone involved. The power behind the electronic version is the data that's recorded. But I absolutely make it happen with whatever we have in the classroom. It's become more and more clear to me that I can't wait to get devices for every one of my students. But you can absolutely keep everyone involved with all sorts of strategies.
Great. A question about MimioConnect. I have used MimioConnect in the past and have saved many lessons. Is it possible to use these older saved lessons and integrate using the new technology? Sarah, do you want to take that one?
I would love to. I think that is the most powerful thing about Mimio is as the capabilities grow, you can build on what you have. So I still use lessons. I used, I think it was version 5 point something Mimio Studio, which for anyone that's been around Mimio for a while, that was, I think we had just got in color. There was very, very minimal resources, but the power is you can have one product and create a lesson. You can have every product and use that same lesson. The capabilities grow, but you can absolutely continue to grow as Mimio grows. I am a prime resource for that. I started from the beginning days and continue to learn, and I get so excited to continue to grow as a teacher for because of the capabilities that Mimio continues to develop. Great question.
Thanks, Sarah. Another question that came in was, let's see. So do you have training on Mimio Studio? Travis, do you mind?
Yeah, let me address that. So certainly. So yeah, so we do offer a range of training options. In fact, we're going to end with that here in just a little bit. It looks like Sarah might be ahead of the game a little bit, but we do offer a range of free training options for you to get up and running very quickly. So as Sarah's going to navigate here, it looks like she's going to go over to our training tab, and you just simply go to mimio.com, click on that training tab at the top, and then you're going to see a variety of options that allow you to choose either live training options that we offer or even on-demand. So the on-demand options are recordings based upon our live options that you can access 24/7, 365. We also have available PDF reference guides. You can see a snapshot of how to do things, but also we have a series of over 60 short video tutorials. Each one of those are probably 2 to 7 minutes long, and they cover just about every facet of Mimio Studio, but also the Mimio products to really show you how to do some of those things. So, of course, we'd love to see you in our live quick learn sessions. That's also part of our training options. Everything's free. You learn from a live teacher that uses Mimio in their classroom, just like Sarah, every single day, and they provide all those tips and tricks on every aspect of the software, but also the hardware. So we have 12 different quick learn sessions, and each one of the sessions allow you to earn professional development credits. And we also have an ongoing promotion for every quick learn session that you do attend in a live fashion. You also get entered into our monthly drawing for Mimio prizes. So we have a couple more days. Actually, today's our last of the month that we offer quick learn sessions. But we'll be giving away prizes like Mimio Teach, Mimio Mobile License, a variety of things. So join us in March, and you could be our next lucky winner at the end of the month. So hopefully that'll address that question.
Thank you, Travis. So we're going to end with this one from Pamela. What if a student is absent? Can the students have access to these lessons after the class period when the teacher gives the lesson? Sarah, do you mind taking this last question?
Sure, and that's a great question because I do this all the time. because I am a total Mimeo addict, I plan all of my lessons in Mimeo Notebook. So right now, you can see at the top of my screen, it's an INK file, I-N-K. But Mimeo Notebook offers many different formats that you can save in. So many times I will save my files usually as a PDF and post them to my website. So everything that was done in class, students are able to access at home. So you can see the variety of different formats that you're able to save. So that's how I make sure that students can access just beyond the classroom what occurred.
Great, thank you. Any questions that we were not able to address during the call will be included in our follow-up email Q&A notes, which Travis spoke about earlier, and that will be sent out in an email early next week. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Travis to close out the webinar.
Thank you, Liz. And like she mentioned, if there are any other questions, feel free to throw those while we're still online here in the chat window. We'll make sure we include those in the wrap-up PDF that will include every question and every answer that we'll construct for you. So thank you. And Sarah, wonderful job as always. You are always one of the best champions I think we have out there, and I would love to be in your class. I think it would be a riveting experience, I think. So thank you for that. So,
thank you.
So you are welcome. So again, the mini webinar series, we've just back. This is our brand new, our first one of the spring season. So thank you for joining us. We have 5 more scheduled through through May. So hopefully you can join one of our other ones. Sarah will be doing another one, so you can spread the word and have people join Sarah for one more presentation she'll make later down the road. As I mentioned earlier, you can earn professional development credit just by joining us for this session. So I'm going to throw a link out there in the chat box. Right there it is in your lower left. If you click on that, you'll simply need to collect or input a little bit of information, and then give us about 24 hours after those get processed, and we'll be shipping out an individualized certificate to you in PDF form via email. So look for that. So, and that's good for 1 hour of professional development if you can use that. As we mentioned earlier, Mimeo training, we do offer a range of free training options. We definitely believe in supporting you through the thick and thin, and just like anything, you got to start small and see how it can definitely enhance you. I think Sarah, you've seen Sarah demonstrate that there's so many things that you can do to impact student learning. So I'm going to throw another link out from the chat window. That way it shows up in the recording. It will link you to all of those resources that we showed you. Of course, Sarah mentioned the Mimeo Connect community, so there that is. We went there a few times. So definitely it's a teacher for teacher community, and it's a wonderful site, always evolving and making it better. So and yes, I will. As far as the CEU, there's a question there. The link that I provided, which I'll throw that in the chat window one more time, all you should have to do is click on that link, and that should take you to our a form, which allows you to put your name in and select the session that you attended, and then we'll collect that information, and we'll create that certificate for you in the next 24 to 48 hours. So hopefully that addresses that question. So again, I'd like to say thank you for joining us for our first of the spring webinar series. Definitely check out our other webinar recordings that we've done in the past. Our next webinar that's planned is in 2 weeks. It's Tuesday, March 11th, again at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Another fantastic teacher, Paul Gigliotti out of Cleveland, will be showing you a lot more on the Mimeo mobile application and using that in the classroom. It's tablet classroom collaboration with Mimeo. So check that out, of course, as you can with any of our webinars. I'm going to throw that link out here also. You can follow that link, mimeo.com/webinar, and check out and register for any of our other live webinars, but you'll also be able to click on past webinars we've done and watch those recordings if you'd like to do that. So again, we definitely, as I mentioned, like to support you all the way through that. So of course, you can always get involved with us in any of our social media channels, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We have a range of things and a range of teachers that interact all the time. So without any further ado, again, I want to say thank you to Sarah for a wonderful job. Thank you, Liza, for fielding some great questions. And as what was mentioned, we'll be sending out to you probably early next week an email to everyone registered that will include a follow-up to this webinar, which will include a recording link. It will include also the PDF that we'll put together that has all of those great questions and the answers to those. So don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time. One last link I'm going to leave you with is our link to our training team. So if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to throw those out there, and we'll address you as soon as we can. So thank you once again. Have a great night, no matter what part of the world you're from, and hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.